That went exactly how we thought it would.
Oh, that is not tight at all. Hang on. Oh, watch your fender.
Oh, wait, I can just push this up. I'm a moron.
Hello and welcome back to Flywheel Films. My name is Austin and today we have another suspension install video for you. Now, if you're a subscriber and you've been around for a little bit, you've probably seen us do a number of suspension install videos at this point. So this one we're gonna do a little bit differently. Meister sent a set of Sport Zs for me to replace my Eibach lowering springs and stock struts. So really excited to try these out and give these a whirl. These are kind of the updated version of the Meister Zeta CRD that has been featured on this channel multiple times. So extremely interested to see how these ride and how they compare. But today we're going to be doing a suspension kind of quick tips and install video. So I'm not going to cover every single little step to do this, but I am going to give you some pro tips for when you do this yourself. Everything from disassembly to adjusting your ride height to reassembly. So I'm going to get into it. Like I said, this is not going to be a super lengthy video. Just want to give you some highlights on how you can install your set of Meisters or whatever coilovers you have. Really excited to show you all this one. Like all suspension work, you want to make sure you have your wheels off the car. If you don't own an impact, make sure you crack your lug nuts prior to getting the car in the air. So you may notice the suspension's already gone. It's been out for a couple of days. I'm on a little bit of a time crunch trying to make sure I can get my car prepped for Miata summer camp here very soon. So excuse the mess, there's a lot going on. I actually just installed a new header too. But as far as suspension uninstall tips, as far as removing your suspension, wanted to give just a couple quick pointers here. So we'll start up front. Obviously you need to undo the 3 bolts on each side, and then down below, the only bolts I found you need to remove are, of course you need to do the bottom bolt holding the strut in, and then the lower end link is pretty easy to get off down there, and that allows this a little bit of movement. And then your upper A-arm, getting those 2 bolts out will allow enough room for the whole front assembly to kind of tilt out as you pull the coilover out very carefully, not to damage your fender. Found that works really well both times I've done this. And then when you're not doing anything, just put one of your A-arm bolts back in place just to hold that upright, because you don't want to put too much tension on your ABS sensor or your brake lines here. So super pro tip for the front, very easy to get in and out. Best to do with 2 people so one person can push the front assembly down as the other person pulls the strut out. Like I said, very simple, but these couple tips are huge when doing this in your Miata. Now in the rear, this assembly actually starts in the trunk. So you need to remove some trunk panels in order to get to the tops of the rear suspension. So there's actually 2 bolts on each side, and then 1 you access from underneath. So you have, I think they're 14s and a 12 from underneath. And then you do have to remove a metal plate right here as well. Another pro tip, get some of these metal trays from like Harbor Freight or wherever. They're like $3 or $4 and helps you stay nice and organized. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting in the rear. I did it a different way than I did last time and it worked very well. Super straightforward actually. So you leave the top hat bolts in place, but you actually remove the bolt at the top of the strut, which will be right up in there. Recommend using a ratcheting wrench to do so. And then after you have that bolt removed, come down here and undo the bolt on the back of your suspension here, and then use a pry bar to push it off. I'll put some B-roll on here. It's a little sketchy because it kind of explodes out of the car. We'll call it a rapid disassembly out of the car. But the reason why that's so huge to do with the stock suspension, it is very bulky. And if you don't do it that way, you can either do what I did and remove the sway bar and maybe fight the spring out of there. But if you have it disassemble itself on its way out, you don't have to undo any control arms, which is absolutely huge. So definitely recommend trying that method. It's a little sketchy, so definitely be careful while you do it. But it worked really well for me, and I've seen others recommend it as well. All right, now that I've given you a couple pro tips on how to remove your suspension, here are some tips before you put your brand new shiny coilovers back in your car. So I got mine from Meister. I recommend you do the same. And Meister actually ships these coilovers with a ride height already preset. So in my case with the NC Miata and the Sport Zs, they are set at a 13-inch ride height, which isn't super low, but it's not close to OEM either. I think OEM is like 15 and 15 and a half. So this is 13 all around. Pro tip here, get either a measuring tape, or if you have a set of calipers, use one of these because it's not very expensive and a lot more precise. And just check and make sure that your coilovers are set how they should be. I'm measuring like just about a 1/2 inch on each of these, and then about 3.5 on my rear bodies here. So I've measured, they're very, very close. So I'm just gonna throw them in and see how I like it. We're gonna be doing a whole video on how to adjust your coilovers once they are on the car. So go check out that video if it is live. If not, hang tight, we're working on it. But yeah, so we're gonna throw these in really quick. I'll give you a couple quick tips on how to install your coilovers on your NC Miata. But yeah, quick pro tip, set everything out, make sure everything is good, make sure your collars are all tight, and then you're good to toss them in. Pro tip on front end install, have a friend make sure that your control arm is, your upper control arm is loose and free, and be mindful of your ABS line, that you're not just stretching it or breaking it or pulling it. And then also be very mindful of your fender. Just like taking out, you don't want to scratch it with the bolts going in. Oh. But just like that, we are in place. Because these don't have as much droop as stock, you actually don't really have to worry about it being a super snug fit. And then before you try to reinstall everything, get your bolt back in on your upper control arm so it's not flopping about. And then the easiest way to do it is have one person just push it up and then just put on the provided hardware from Meister up top. Jeff, you're good, I got one on. And these are probably supposed to be torqued to some spec. And then on the bottom, there's a little bit of the same deal. This is definitely easier with two people. There you get. Oh yeah, that's way easier. Yeah, there you go. You're gonna have to reuse your stock hardware on the bottom with the Meisters, but they provide shiny new bolts up top. Because that's all that matters, because that's what everybody's seeing anyway, right? Okay, so I have a lot more pro tips for you in the rear after we figured out how to do it on the first side. Because these have so much less droop, you have to install them kind of in an interesting way. So for one, like I said before, if you do the uninstallation method of the rapid disassembly, as I like to call it, explosion sounds a little harsh, rapid disassembly of your stock strut, you do not have to remove any control arms or even sway bar linkages in the rear to get this in. So really nice because this is such a smaller unit than your OEM setup. So to get it in, the easiest way is to, of course, be careful of your fender because mine is perfect already, as you can tell. And then if you slide it in over here, you need to get it under this cup and your fender, and then you have to slot it on the little knob at the bottom first. So once you get it slotted in down here, and I'll go ahead and put the little bolt on there, just hand tight. I swear I'm usually better than this.
First time.
You then need to make sure that your holes, your studs are lining up with your holes there, and mine are not. You can just spin it by hand, and then this is where it gets interesting, and if you have a hard time making friends, I'm sorry, but you need another friend. Actually, you could probably do this with 2 people, but get your jack if you have one, or another friend to stand under here and push it up, but that's kind of a garbage job. So hopefully you have another friend. And then have somebody up top guiding it in with some, with the nuts ready. And then you just slowly, how are we looking, Jeff?
One more pump. You're in. Keep going. 2 more pumps.
And then that's it. So just get it on the bottom post here, and then have some friends that can do things for you while you sit and watch. And then before you button up the rear, there's the one bolt that's a 12 mil that you need to get from the bottom here. So you have 2 bolts up top that are 14s, but a long extension with a 12 mil is your friend here. Torqued. You're supposed to tighten your control arms, and really as many things as you can suspension wise with a bushing. You're supposed to tighten it under load. I can't get to these bolts easily when my car is lowered. I don't have those fancy faceplate stands that you can get. So what I decided to do was just jack up the suspension, and then I measured from the center of my bore here to the fender, which is 13 inches, what the ride height is supposed to be. So I decided to do that as treating it under load. And then I tightened down my upper 2 control arm bolts here to spec. That's my solution for tightening these under load. It's also a good idea to get in alignment anytime you make drastic ride height changes, and you can also tell your alignment shop to snug up or retighten those bolts under load. But if you don't trust that they'll do that, or you just want to do it right the first time, if you have a jack, you can do this. So I think this might be my last pro tip of the install. There's not a whole lot else to do. A few final pro tips to wrap up the video. If you bought MeisterRs, they do offer a damping adjustment extension that you can get for the rear that will protrude through the interior plastics. These are phenomenal. You just have to drill a couple quick holes and use a little Allen key to get them attached. They allow you to adjust your damping on the fly, so you can make the coilovers softer for a road trip and then harder for like a track day or some spirited driving. So highly recommend it. I've personally used them quite a bit at this point, and I'm a very big fan. And then in line with that, while you are removing and reinstalling your factory plastics in the trunk, you're probably gonna break a couple of those plastic clips. I have some Amazon dupes linked down below. They are a whole lot cheaper than the ones you get from Mazda, and the factory texture is pretty much identical. So I highly recommend picking up some of those so you can minimize any rattling that you could have without all your plastic clips in place. So definitely recommend both of those things. So far, I'm a really big fan of both of them. If you enjoyed this video, definitely leave us a comment, let us know. Also, a like is appreciated. These are really easy ways that you can engage with our videos to get them pushed out to more Miata enthusiasts. We have a whole lot more Miata content coming, so stay tuned. We'll see you guys in the next one. It's all a liar.
You made it rolling yet?
Not quite. Okay.
Okay, I can picture a person.
So good. Actually, not us. We're going in raw.
Really long.
Okay. Are we rolling by that?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh god, my gold's gonna be on the internet.
So good. Yeah. The words of Jeremy Clarkson, my genius amazes me. I don't know, I'm probably gonna cut that out.